Here's the irony of episode 15. Woojin destabilized Jiyeon emotionally, and Wongu destabilized her sense of safety. Her two anchors cracked at the same time. That's why this episode feels so volatile. So the real question is, what does Jiyeon actually want? Hi guys, it's your girl Funnel Pop. I tell it exactly how I see it, no sugarcoating. If you're here for honest analysis, open conversation, and bold predictions on dating shows, you're in the right place. Like, share, and subscribe. Remember, all information in this video is my analysis, for entertainment purposes only and should not be regarded as facts. Now, Jiyeon in her interview after sending a message to her ex for the first time said she struggled a lot before making that decision, right? Meaning she was confused, right? Well, in my opinion, Jiyeon is not confused. She hasn't been confused all season. Actually, her confusion looks inconsistent, chaotic and emotionally sloppy. What Jiyeon has shown from episode 1 to episode 15 is the total opposite of what we saw in episode 15. If you take a closer look at her actions, you'd observe her actions are patterned, reactive, and precisely timed. That's not emotional chaos. That's emotional regulation. From the start, her behavior follows one rule: she wants to remain the emotional reference point for Woojin without committing to him. She doesn't want Woojin back. She wants Woojin unable to move on. That distinction explains everything that happened in episode 15. For most of the season, Jiyeon held power because she appeared indifferent, implied she had options, and refused to emotionally engage with Woojin. Meanwhile, Woojin behaved as if she was still his only choice. That imbalance is what kept her in control. Episode 15 is the episode where Woojin finally breaks that unspoken rule. The keychain moment matters more than people want to admit. It wasn't about Wongu specifically. It was symbolic. It was proof that Jiyeon had replaced Woojin's emotional placeholder without hesitation or consequence. When Woojin went into her room with the teddy from his farewell box, believing he had made some progress with her emotionally, and then saw that keychain, something snapped. He was so shocked that even after their arrival she still left the ornament on her bag, unlike when he gave her something similar which he also referenced in that scene. Immediately, Woojin realized the urgency of his situation, that Jiyeon might keep taking him for granted, so he flipped the script. That was when Woojin pivoted. He broke the unspoken rule of their dynamic. Up until then, Jiyeon held power because she acted indifferent while Woojin acted exclusive. The moment Woojin leaned into Minkhyung and openly admitted that she was someone he had his best dates with and could see romantic potential with, the balance shifted. Yes, he used Minkhyung strategically. Not out of malice, and not to sabotage her. It was defensive, plus, he didn't lie. He truly had his best dates with Minkhyung. So I sincerely hope that everyone who is currently mad at him will try harder to understand his position. He wasn't trying to throw Minkhyung under the bus. He was trying to prove he wasn't disposable, which was fair. But where Woojin failed is that Jiyeon does not respond to fairness. She responds to exclusivity. And just like that, Woojin had her full attention. He had her exactly where he wanted her to be. So the second she heard that he felt something elsewhere, she snapped. Not because she suddenly realized she loved him, but because she realized she was about to lose control of the situation. That's when she demanded that he only have eyes for her, and the more reason why that demand feels outrageous in context. After an entire season of pushing him away. After never sending him a message once. After repeatedly insisting she didn't care. But the second it became possible that he could move on without her, she panicked. That's when she sent him her first message. Out of all days, it was the day her heart must have fluttered the most for Wongu. Even Wongu expressed his dismay in his interview, "My guy said of all days." Laughing my ass off. And yup, this is the point where I think people are being fooled. Jiyeon sending that message was not a romantic turning point in my view. It wasn't clarity, it wasn't growth, it wasn't "oh, I suddenly realize I don't want to lose you, guys." It was a leash. She sent it because, for the first time, Woojin had a believable exit. For the first time, she couldn't predict his next move. For the first time, her indifference stopped working. Woojin's reaction when he received her message told me all I needed to know. Based on the edits, my guy looked shocked as hell, even though he said that he felt relieved that all his effort paid off in his interview. Still, his reaction at that moment said quite a lot. He wasn't excited, he looked stunned, confused, even a little disappointed, which is different from what he later said in his interview. I could have sworn he was thinking about Minkhyung at that moment. Honestly, I won't be surprised if he takes his romance to the next level in episode 16 with Minkhyung. The latest pre-release hints that new bonds are forming, so my hopes are still up for Woojin. Now, back to him getting Jiyeon's text. He had the face of someone realizing that what he chased all season doesn't feel as exciting once he actually gets it. On some level, I could almost say that in that moment, he knew the message was reactive, not particularly sincere. Wongu is another interesting character that keeps shocking me in every episode, and he isn't innocent in this either. That shopping date was serious. The keychain gift was in placement was deliberate. And the shirt incident exposed his own insecurity and ego. Demanding the shirt back because his ex complained wasn't boundary setting. It was controlled. And Jiyeon noticed. That moment weakened him. Here's the irony of episode 15. Woojin destabilized Jiyeon emotionally and Wongu destabilized her sense of safety. Her two anchors on the show cracked at the same time. That's why this episode feels so volatile. Honestly, I feel like I'm watching Transit Love Japan Season 3 all over again. Those ladies deceived their exes into wanting them back but eventually dumped them in the end, laughing my ass off. Jiyeon seems to be playing the same game here, and it seems it's all working in her favor. So what does Jiyeon actually want? I'd say she wants to be wanted. She wants Woojin emotionally tethered, she wants Wongu emotionally invested, and she wants to remain emotionally unaccountable. Does she like Wongu? Yes, but conditionally. Does she care about Woojin? Yes, but possessively. Does she want either relationship fully? My answer is no, at least for now. So here's my actual prediction, and I want to be very clear about what I mean. Woojin is the kind of person who needs emotional clarity. He needs to know where he stands, whether he's being seriously considered, and whether there's a real future or not. He can tolerate confusion for a while, but not forever. The moment he feels hope, he's going to want reassurance and definition, not just mixed signals. Jiyeon, on the other hand, is comfortable in ambiguity. Right now, ambiguity works in her favor. It allows her to keep Woojin emotionally connected without having to commit, and to keep Wongu invested without fully choosing him either. The problem is, ambiguity only works as long as no one asks for answers. And Wongu? He needs emotional safety. When he feels secure, he invests. When he doesn't, he either pulls back or hardens emotionally. Episode 15 showed the first crack in that sense of safety. So when you put all of that together, this triangle doesn't resolve cleanly. If Woojin and Jiyeon try again, it won't fall apart because of drama or jealousy. It will fall apart the moment Woojin asks, "Where do I actually stand?" because Jiyeon won't be able to give him a clear answer without losing control of her options. And once that happens, Wongu won't stay soft or patient either. That's why I don't see this ending well for any of them. Jiyeon may leave the show with attention and relevance, but trust will be damaged. Wongu will either emotionally check out or distance himself. And unless Woojin detaches in time, he'll be the one who gets hurt the most. If I had to give a definite answer about how this ends, I'm not focusing on who Wongu or Woojin would choose. I'm focusing on Jiyeon. Based on everything we've seen up to episode 15, I think Jiyeon would choose Wongu. And honestly, at this point, I do think they fit each other quite well, and of course, this opinion could change as more episodes unfold. Moving on to the biggest fight of the episode, Wongu and Jiyeon. Honestly, if there is any couple on this show that should never date each other again, it's these two. Not because they don't love each other, actually they do have feelings for each other a lot, but because they are fundamentally incapable of communicating in a way that makes the other feel safe, a lot goes wrong. They don't just misunderstand each other, they process reality differently. They remember events differently, interpret intentions differently, and measure love by completely different standards. That combination is exhausting in real life, and that's exactly why so many viewers recognize themselves in this fight. This isn't TV drama. This is the kind of argument couples have in parking lots, kitchens, and late-night phone calls, where no one feels heard and everyone leaves feeling worse. Jiyeon has been hurt by Wongu repeatedly in their relationship, to the point where her perception of him is now clouded by accumulated resentment. She is no longer reacting only to what he does now, but to everything he failed to do before. When someone reaches that stage, even neutral behavior feels hostile. Even explanations feel like excuses. But it's also frustrating that Jiyeon wouldn't even try to hear Wongu out. She keeps cutting him off when he talks, and I think Wongu at some point felt wronged. He just couldn't talk much. So it's really sad to see the breakdown in their communication style. However, like Jiyeon wants something very specific from her ex: clear commitment, visible effort, and unmistakable proof that she is his priority and not vague affection. Not, "I care about you," type of priority. But instead of responding to that need, Wongu keeps doing the opposite. From Jiyeon's point of view, he's hinted he wants her back by saying things like, "I get jealous when I see you with other people. I want us to go out on a date. What are your thoughts about reconnecting or reuniting?" So things like that have been programmed into Jiyeon's brain. Like, okay, this guy wants us to get back together, but yet, he gives the shirt he wore to another woman, takes her shopping, and continues texting Jiyeon. Viewers get angry at Jiyeon for reacting emotionally, and that reaction is understandable, but it's also incomplete. Because when you actually look at their conversations, Wongu consistently fails to recognize the emotional implications of his actions. He moves through situations casually, then seems surprised by the damage left behind. Men like Wongu are genuinely frustrating to date. Jiyeon tells him directly that he lacks a backbone, and honestly, that criticism lands. He wants to keep the door open with Jiyeon while also maintaining a safe emotional backup with Jiyeon. He frames this as politeness, consideration, or not thinking too deeply, but emotional negligence wrapped in politeness is still negligence. The texting incident makes this especially clear. Wongu explains that he didn't text Jiyeon because he had gone on a date with Jiyeon that day and wanted to be polite. But that logic is exactly the problem. He is prioritizing the comfort of the person he dated that day over the emotional security of the ex he claims he wants back. To him, it's courtesy. To Jiyeon, it's proof she is not the priority. Where things really fall apart, though, is the shirt incident, because this is the one piece of evidence viewers can actually verify. Originally, when Jiyeon asked why he gave his shirt to Jiyeon, Wongu said Jiyeon took it. But now in Japan, during their arguments, he changed the story and claimed that he had told Jiyeon back then that he gave it to Jiyeon. That simply isn't true. In the episode, he didn't remember clearly because he was drunk. It was only after Jiyeon challenged him to retrieve the shirt that he asked Jiyeon what happened, and Jiyeon said that he had offered it to her. So when Wongu later claims consistency that didn't exist, it confirms Jiyeon's deepest fear, that he rewrites events once they become inconvenient. And this is exactly why Jiyeon lashed out, got angry, and ultimately walked away, saying there would be no reconciliation, leaving their issues unresolved by the end of the episode. Whether intentional or not, that inconsistency destroys trust. Once someone believes you reshaped the past to defend yourself, the relationship is already cracked beyond repair. This is where Wongu and Jiyeon fundamentally diverge. Wongu remembers what happened. Jiyeon remembers how it felt. He minimizes emotional weight. She amplifies it. Neither believes they are lying, yet they can't agree on reality. Conversations become endless loops where both feel invalidated. Jiyeon, on the other hand, is not communicating cleanly either. By this point, her hurt has turned into punishment-based communication. She tests him instead of asking him. She demands certainty while simultaneously pushing him away. She wants him to choose her, but only after he proves it under emotional pressure. That doesn't make her irrational. It makes her exhausted and emotionally burned out. As for the rumors that these two reunited and may even be preparing for marriage, it's hard to take them seriously. For that to be true, Wongu would need to become decisively intentional, and Jiyeon would need to stop communicating through anger and resentment. Nothing we've seen suggests they can do that together. The most accurate conclusion is this: Wongu doesn't want to choose because choosing means accepting loss. Jiyeon doesn't want ambiguity because ambiguity has already hurt her too much. Meanwhile, Jiyeon will not tolerate hesitation either. If Wongu continues trying to please everyone while committing to no one, he will lose both Jiyeon and Jiyeon in the end. At this point, the issue isn't love. It's incompatibility. And sometimes, no matter how strong the feelings are, that's the final answer. But if I had to make a definite prediction about this duo, I'd say they do have the potential to choose each other by the end of the show. I think Wongu would choose Jiyeon, not Jiyeon. That said, I genuinely hope they don't reunite. I think Songyoung would be a much better fit for her. As always, this opinion may change as the episodes unfold. Finally, get ready everyone, we're diving into the wildest love web of Transit Love 4 so far. It's messy, it's emotional, and yes, it might just be a full-blown love pentagon. At the center of it all is Yanji, the queen of this drama. She's juggling two axes, two new suitors, and more emotions than a roller coaster can handle. Watching her navigate this is like watching chess being played with hearts. Every move counts, and every glance could spark fireworks. If you've been following my videos, you know I've consistently defended Yanji since the show started because I felt I understood how the editors were framing her story. But I have to admit, episode 15 really tested my patience. What struck me most is this: she confessed her feelings to Baekhyun in Seoul, but suddenly in Japan, she declared Yoosik her priority. Seriously? Could this have anything to do with the fact that Yoosik initially had interest in Jiyeon, who would go on a date with him the next day? Just as she played her game to secure Baekhyun in Seoul, is she now trying to hold Yoosik on her leash in Japan? Let's talk about Yoosik for a minute. From Seoul onward, he's been steady, focused, and completely caught up in Yanji. He ignored his ex, Minkhyung, not because he didn't care, but because he was following the rules and respecting the structure of the show. You can tell this was why he ignored her in Seoul, because of how free he is now with his ex in Japan. At the same time, he's been immersing himself in this new experience, allowing himself to fall for Yanji in a really cute and genuine way. And maybe, just maybe, part of this was to show Minkhyung how much she could have valued him, that classic, you don't know what you have until it's gone, moment. But the question is, has he gone too far? Could Minkhyung's heart shut off if he keeps being pulled in this complicated direction? And this brings me to my prediction: despite all the rumors that Yoosik will end up with Yanji, I don't see it that way. Based on everything we've seen so far, I believe Yoosik will go back to Minkhyung. Here's why. First, we can't ignore that Yanji came on the show with two exes, both of whom want her back. She confirmed to Baekhyun in Seoul that she wanted to reunite with him, yet within a day in Japan, she declared Yoosik her priority. Viewers praised her for being honest, but is she truly being 100% honest, or is this just another move in her strategic emotional game? Don't get me wrong, she has feelings for Yoosik. But declaring him as a priority right before he goes on a double date with someone he had initially connected with. That raised my eyebrows. Then there's the moment where Baekhyun tries to confirm what his ex said in the group chat room in Seoul. This was the first time Baekhyun clearly confirmed that Yoosik was that person in his ex's room, and he finally brought up something important. Yanji had said on the phone that she wasn't interested in her ex. He told Yoosik he was so mad, but the very next day, she came to him again, sending signals to him. Baekhyun even said that he told her she was being two-faced. And immediately, Yoosik shut it down. He told Baekhyun to stop and said he didn't want to hear anything that might make him biased against her. Personally, I actually think Yoosik handled that moment really well. He drew a boundary and chose to form his own judgment instead of letting someone else shape it for him. That said, I also understand why viewers are conflicted here. People got upset, saying Baekhyun was talking behind her back, but let's be honest. If you were about to seriously pursue someone and another person offered you critical context about their recent behavior, would you really want to stay completely in the dark? Now, about Baekhyun's motives. This isn't the first time he's spoken negatively about her, and while that's not a great look, I don't think it comes from pure malice. I think it comes from jealousy. He wants her for himself, and he's clearly threatened by Yoosik. Discouraging Yoosik from getting closer to her is, in his mind, a way to protect his own chance. Now, when you look at the episode 16 preview, things get even more interesting. Baekhyun brings up Yanji again, this time directly telling Yoosik that she had told him she liked him and wanted to reunite. Yoosik's reaction says everything. He looks genuinely stunned. And honestly, that's the moment where I feel a real storm could hit this Yoosik-Yanji ship. If Yoosik starts connecting the dots and realizes that she may have been trying to keep both him and her exes emotionally close at the same time, that could completely shift how he sees her. Here's my take on Yanji's strategy. Telling Baekhyun she wanted him back seems like a way to keep him close, to prevent him from moving on with someone else. And it worked. Baekhyun gradually started pulling away from Minkhyung and gravitated toward her, exactly what she wanted. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go watch Baekhyun's reaction when Jiyeon told him to sit next to Minkhyung. He looked so uncomfortable. Not only him, did you also see Yanji's jealous reaction? Meanwhile, her pursuit of Yoosik ramps up, but I'm not convinced she likes him more than Baekhyun. Baekhyun, being inexperienced, put all his cards on the table as soon as they reached Japan, showing his feelings openly. Boldly patting her and caressing her. That probably made it easier for Yanji to pursue Yoosik, since she knows Baekhyun isn't going anywhere ha. And I do think it's important for Yoosik to know that she told Baekhyun she wanted to reunite, so he doesn't miss his chance to connect with someone else if he still can. Bottom line, Yanji's juggling act is impressive. But someone like Yoosik, who's only had one long-term relationship and seems to value peace over chaos, may eventually see through her funny games and feel uncomfortable. That's why I believe Yoosik will ultimately return to Minkhyung. Nobody wants to be played as a fool on national TV, and after all this, it seems he'll follow the path that makes the most emotional sense. Also, this misery clip, don't they look a lot like Yoosik and Jiyeon? Did that Japan date actually sway his heart back toward her? Honestly, I doubt he'd ever do that to his brother Wongu ha. But seriously though, what if Yoosik and Jiyeon become the endgame couple? Wouldn't that be pleasantly surprising? What do you think? Let me know your predictions in the comments. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this breakdown, hit the like button and subscribe for more. I'll see you in the next one.